Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. So here we're going to be using photo mode for their unintended purposes. So kind of going to be looking into some things that maybe not necessarily supposed to. I'm going to talk about some things about photo mode itself, you know. I'm not going to look at normal enemies. Today, I'm going to be doing 3 bosses. We're going to be doing Gigas. I feel like Gigas has some details that I do want to take a look at. The other two, one is going to be kind of an endgame boss, and then one is one of the final bosses you can get. I will give you warnings when I get to those other two bosses. Um, One in particular has some secret hidden details to it in terms of animations and stuff that I do want to show y'all. With this photo mode, I am going to explain what you can do, what you cannot do in photo mode, some of the limitations and whatnot, and, you know, also how I feel about the near collab or whatever. Quick thoughts on the near collab, whatever. Like, it's nice. I'm not a huge fan of having to find something called stellar tiers. I'm not a huge fan of that being another collectible item in the map. I'd rather it be tied to more engaging quests. And as far as photo mode goes, I don't have the final one called War Dress, but I'm not necessarily a huge fan of any of the outfits. I actually am the least of a fan of the War Dress, at least how I've seen. I kind of hate it, but um, so some of these bosses, I have completed all of the bosses in challenge mode. Well, at least boss challenges, on at least on normal mode. Some of them I have cleared on hard mode. Some of them I didn't even attempt. For example, I obviously can clear Abaddon, Corruptor, but, you know, I just haven't done it yet. And we're going to take a look at Gigas here. I'm going to use my new game plus thing. I have my weapon completely maxed out. But we're going to take a look at some things here, you know. I'm going to show you first the limit before we get into the actual boss fight. So I'm going to show you some of the limitations here. First and foremost, you cannot use selfie mode in boss challenge mode. You cannot. You can access photo mode by doing the shortcut by pressing R1 and the left on the D-pad. Now we're going to hide the UI here. So one of the first limitations is you can only go so far from Eve. As you see here, you can only go so far from Eve. Think of it as like a bubble. There's a bubble here. You can go pretty high up, but obviously it's not like a box. It's more like a bubble shape. So do keep that in mind. Also, yes, before any of you asked, I actually attempted this. Not super immediately. I looked at like a boss first before attempting this. But, so, the first thing I attempted, and Torta can attest to this, is I tried to go inside of Eve's head. Because I wanted to see if there were eyeballs in the back of her head. Okay, so, in case you are new to this sort of style of deal, I haven't done it on the channel, but usually on characters, when you look inside of their skulls, you can see eyes peering back at them. I believe there was a development reason why, at least if I remember correctly, the reason being, and somebody in the comments correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the reasoning was there was a high quality version of the eye and a low quality version of the eye, and they would swap out, basically. For instance, I'm not completely sure if that was the reason why, but there was some technological reason why they would do that. I believe it's not necessary now. I wouldn't be surprised if some students just do it just because. But yeah, you clip through. This also, unfortunately, happens on bosses too. They just clip through if you get too close. The droid here, if y'all want to have a little bit of a closer look. A little bit of a closer look here. I'm trying to perform the camera motion a little bit more smoothly. And again, you can't go into the internals. It just blips out. And yes, everywhere on Eve just blips out. There's nothing too interesting arena-wise that I want to touch here, but as we go through here, and I will change my fashion each time, since I am explaining a few things. You know what? Y'all will catch me again once I'm actually in the boss fight itself. Okay, here we are in the actual boss fight. There is something else we're going to take a look at, so... While he's in idle, we can go into photo mode here. And we can take a look at some things for Gigas. I don't think I can fully go around him. Oh, I can. Cheeks! So, as you can see, he's a little bit thick on the cheek side. So, interestingly enough, his feet are kind of not toe-like, they're hands. They're kind of like baby hands. There's an enemy in Dark Souls 3 that's like this. He's in Profane Capital. But as you can see, there's actually hands modeled onto the feet instead of actual feet. And his hands... Oh, I have to try not to clip into things. But as you can see, his hands are really weirdly shaped as well. And the last thing we're going to check is up here. As you can see, it is sort of like a cherub-looking face. Cherubs will be more of a theme later on as well. I wish I could take a look. There, okay, that's about the best angle I can get for him. And also something to note, Eve's face will default sometimes. She looks like she is zoned. But that's something I want to take a look at. Now I do have on the new I'm not familiar with that. But I do have Eve's new Takimo thing on. By the way, I did try to do it on... I did try to use photo mode on a specific cutscene. It seems to work sparingly. It's like a... Ooh, I can't see flashes. This boss isn't necessarily super easy for me to parry. Ooh. I have to build up enough meter to use Taki mode, though. This should still remove a meter, but we're going to back up from him. He doesn't change visually, so I'm not really going to be discussing any visual changes, besides him getting yellow hands. Woo! There we are, Retribution. I'm not going to slow-mo this. You can, though. Well, you can stop it in place. And as you see, nothing visually happens with them when you do that, so... We are almost ready. We are almost ready to perform the special Takimo. Perfect. Okay, I just want to take a look at this here. So this is the new Taki mode that is unlocked after you've beaten the game. So as you can see, the wing is kind of blurry, but that's because it's in motion. But here's a little bit. The toes. The toes. But I'm going to try to get a better look at it here. Okay, this is about as good of an angle as we're going to get. So, as you can kind of see here, it's obviously one wing. It is a little bit low poly, at least on the front side. At least low visually, but on the back side it looks pretty good. It looks pretty good in general. Again, the blade does change here. You get a little bit of that certain something on the outside edge. I'm trying not to spoil too much, but this is... By the way, you can only unlock this, at least this is from what I believe, but you can only unlock this after you have to fight one boss in particular. It is going to be the final boss that we'll be checking out at the end of this video. I'll explain the conditions when we get to him. But as you can see, the thighs. But as you can see, that earring is there. So it's kind of interesting that they still have that earring there. Let's go ahead and pack it up. I'm not gonna... I'll showcase some of her animations here. But usually you want to spam triangle. But we're gonna finish this fight up. Like, here, for example, you can actually, you see, you only get a screenshot here. So for most ending and entering cutscenes, you only actually get a you can get a little screenshot, which is nice, especially for the next boss we will be checking out. By the way, I'll guess I'll say this for sake of brevity, but this outfit can only be obtained in New Game Plus. So, it's in one of the beginning sections. Anyways, on that note, I'm going to see y'all at the right before the next boss. Okay, here we are at the next boss fight. So before we walk straight into here, do keep in mind that you come across this boss a lot later, like a lot later into the game. So essentially, once you've gotten a little bit past the Great Desert and Abyss Lavoir, you'll be reaching an area called Spire 4, and this is the last boss in Spire 4. This is my personal, like one of my favorite, not even just Soulsborne bosses or Souls-like bosses, but this is one of my favorite video game bosses of all time. There is an insane amount of detail here, which we will be going into. Speaking of detail here, so this is one of the Nier Automata collab outfits. This is the only one that I have currently. But the blade does change. So let's go into photo mode here. Let's go down here. But as you can see, instead of the blade being blue and black, it is silver, like a silverish white and black. And you can see the swings are white for the are like white if, you know, they do them or whatever. Alright, we're going into this boss. I am, of course, going to let the cutscene play out, but I believe, same case as before, you can't move the camera. So do keep that in mind.
We did.
Keep in mind, this is a late game boss. This is not a story spoiler boss, but it is a massive surprise.
It feels just like the eye of a hurricane.
I'm so excited to show you what I've seen in this boss. He has 3 phases. There is something interesting in each phase. Just, oh, he looks so good!
My goodness.
What have you done to yourself?
The only issue is we need to get close to him, so we might have to take a little bit of damage. I did put on melee damage resist.
I'll put an
Oh, it looks so cool! Okay, before he moves, I'll let the music continue to play too. So you can see Eve here is right at square up. So look at the detail in the faces. The faces are kind of looking outward. Like, this is... Imagine if The Witness in Destiny 2 looked like this. Oh, I accidentally clipped into him. I wish you could zoom in a little bit more. And you can see up top, the faces are looking upward. But there's faces all around. They filled some of the gaps in the faces with hair, but some of them not. And if we want to take a look at his nails here, his nails are glowing in blue. Just such a cool design. Okay, that's gonna be it for phase 1, but I'm gonna let this fight. Woo! Oh wow, we are not doing good damage. Woo! Get the damage in. I missed. Okay, he's going to go into his face transition. Okay, I need to time this properly. Right there. I believe this is the correct... So, yes, 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 yes. I think I'm close enough, maybe? I am sort of. So, keep in mind, this is the front of him. Actually, we'll exit a little bit. Oh. Okay, I actually have to restart here. Because I didn't get it right. Right here is where I need it. Okay, Eva's gonna be a little bit in the way. But you keep in mind, this is his front, right? So where the sword comes out here, we can actually get quite close. It comes from his back, kind of insinuating that this weapon is his spine. You can see it is aligned where his spine would be, which is extremely cool. So that's the special details that, like, the sword is his spine. Definitely taking a note from Bloodborne being, orphan of cause, the weapon he wields being causeless placenta. So yeah, this is cool. And we'll take a really good look at the sword here. We got hit by that. Okay, I think we're good to take a look here. First off, the beams. The beams have particles in there. This is so cool. This is so cool. While we're here, we're going to take a good look at that weapon. Look at that weapon. I want this weapon so badly. It's interesting that this tip is here. Is this supposed to be like the tailbone? No, that wouldn't be the tailbone. This would be the base of the spine. So, I wonder what this is necessarily supposed to be outside of it just being a cool little addition. Like, maybe it serves a purpose in this point, but that'd be kind of cool if that was the case. But, oh, it looks so cool! And we can't see, like, any hints of scarring or whatever in his back or anything like that. So... Alright, but we're gonna hop back into the fight here. I got your moveset down by now, buddy. Oh, you always use shock grenades. Oh, wow, we have a lot of health to get through. Okay, that's fine. Oh, it's this move. We'll get hit occasionally, but that's fine. Okay, we just need one more parry before... I know I could have parried there. No, I can't let him do that. Alright, nice retribution. You can do a little... You can see what he does here, cutscene-wise, but we're not going to. He's gonna teleport to the middle here. At least he should. Buddy! There he is. Okay, we only had a little bit more health to go. Okay, we're going to try to dash as quickly to him. Okay, we're right here. Right here. This is right here. Look at that. Look at that. Just wow. Dude, crazy amount of detail. Also, unlike everything else, we don't clip through it. And look at the faces here. Most of them are looking up at it. Except for obviously the faces that are behind. But just that level of detail of most of them looking up that can see it. And the one stretching out to it is such an amazing detail. And the sword technically, I believe, is clipped into the ground. Yes, it's just clipped into the ground. But holy... Look at that. Oh, look at that. Okay, let's go ahead and get into here. And of course, y'all are gonna see the rest of this fight. Music slaps. Don't be afraid to dodge into those. Specifically with Demo Crawler, you can dodge underneath them. Woo! I need a little bit of space, my guy. Okay. Okay, we dodge that. Just stay close to him and not attack. Try not to create distance. Just heal right in front of him. Y'all know I have to do it and stay. Oh, I forgot how you're supposed to do that. Retribution? Oh, interesting. So, as we can see here, this stays right above. So yeah, this stays right above, which is interesting. Also, as you can see with Eve's face here, it depends on where you're at, but yeah, she's just smiling. We'll let her finish her little cutscene deal. Alright, time for the final cutscene. Parry? Of course I didn't time it right, but just a cool shot. Oh, I actually did time it beautifully! Okay! Not absolute perfect timing, but you know. I can't show you all my personal best, I don't think. But it was because there are some bosses that are spoiler that are near here. So okay, that is my personal favorite boss in all of, and like it's one of my favorite bosses in all of gaming. Not just Souls-like and Soulsborne, just so good, just so good. If I were to critique anything about this boss, I wish he had a little bit more health. I don't know if it's just me, but it's one of those fights that I want it to last longer. Now, okay, here's what the plan is going to be. We're going to go to one of the final bosses. If you don't mind spoilers, then proceed. If you do mind spoilers, if you do not want a spoiler for the final boss, skip after this. On screen, editing me should put a timestamp on screen where I will just be in a random spot as I kind of discuss my personal thoughts on this game and the whole Game of the Year situation and what I think of the Celebrate community, because I do have some thoughts on it, and what do I think about photo mode and whatnot, and plans going forward. So just keep that in mind, because I'll catch y'all at that final boss. Okay, here we are. There are a few things that I want to test. I am in normal mode for this version of the boss. By the way, you can only get this by not taking that, by refusing Adam's hand. This is the only way to get this boss. Okay, I'm gonna stun him real quick, just so I can do photo mode here. Here. Also the music. So here's the arena. Just look at all of that. And we are sort of in an Eye of the Storm situation. And there's that symbol. This is first phase. Alright, let's take a look at the man himself, Elder Natiba. So as you can see, we have multiple weapons here with obviously angelic themes going on. We have a rapier, a spear, well, multiple spears, but the bottom is a rapier. And obviously we can see the wings and the hair. There are two attacks. There's two attacks in particular we're going to take a look at. One of them being second phase. Of course, here's Eve, little old Eve. Holy, look at the size difference. He's double her height. Holy shit. Keep in mind, most games are like this for perspective reasons. Because a boss, if an enemy is the exact same height as you, it appears to you that they're smaller than you. So that's why in Bloodborne, a lot of the bosses, even though they appear to be the same size as you, they're actually bigger. This is also to prevent me from just... His combos are kind of long. He really tests you. Because he uses fucking everything in the book. And I can't WB pump here. Damn! Okay, let's go ahead and do that. Oh, we got a shield down. Beautiful. We can do a decent amount of damage. I can't tell where he's at. Okay, okay. Okay, here is an attack that I really wanted to see. Hold on a second. Okay, we're jumping to get a little bit more height here. Look at fucking Eve! Actually, it's kind of a graceful mid-jump. But these are... But I wanted to see these a little bit more close. They are actual cherubs with little spears. They are actually like... Look, it even has a nipple and belly button. It has toes. So that is an insane amount of detail. And it's not like it's all of them are that detailed. Like that's holy shit territory. So that's one attack I want to take a look at. Okay, and we're getting our phasing here. And we're using Black Pearl because it's one of my favorite outfits. Oh, just... Alright, we're gonna take a look here. First of all, the music change is nice. But as you can see, some lightning strikes. And then look at that. You can see a little bit of line in the middle, but that's fine. Look at that. I'm about to say, I was looking for one more move in particular. This move as well is quite large. He is just kind of posted up there. I'm not close enough and it's too dangerous, but as you can see, this is kind of what the move looks out like out in full. Oh. Wait, there's ground under the water. That's interesting. There's ground under the water. As you can see, there's a little bit of ground under the water texture. That's interesting. I also didn't notice that because you can't see it normally. That's so interesting. That's a crazy amount of detail. Oh, I should be dodging. Dodge? Dodge? Oh, we got more dodging. Bruh, can you like... Okay, that attack is not easy to parry. Also, you don't necessarily want to like always parry on this guy. That combo goes on for so long. Holy shit. Oh! Ah! Oh! I had to interrupt that. Okay, let's go. But here is Taki mode without all the coloration. So as you can see, the blade extends. I'm not sure why Taki mode is not a skin. Or like not an outfit. Because it's pretty heavily detailed. But there's the wing there, as you can tell. And it's interesting that burnt pieces of flesh are on the ground, but Eve, your toes. So as you can see, she doesn't have clawed feet, but they're still weird. I know some people in the community have talked about Eve's feet. I never noticed it, but... Okay, I exited because I don't usually use pocket. No shot! He's doing this again! Woo! One thing I hate about talking mode is that it interrupts the music for bosses like these, which is why I don't use it for bosses like these. This should put him into the cutscene. There we are. Even if you have the earring on, by the way, it will not change it for being talking mode in this cutscene, so do keep that in mind. You're just locked into being in talking mode, this version of it. Makes sense, though. I'm so glad boss challenge mode is in this game! By the way, you have to have beaten the boss in order to unlock it in challenge mode. Obviously not my fastest, but you know. Which actually, while we're here, I will let you see my stats and everything as far as like my time being. Keep in mind, some of them I haven't gone for the absolute fastest, but at least on normal, Elden Atiba, my fastest is 3 minutes 30. Raven is 2 minutes 18. Demo Crawler is 2:24. On hard mode, Demo Crawler is obviously 3:19. My fastest on Raven is 3 minutes 32. That's the only time I've beaten it. And I had to use maximum because I didn't have everything unlocked at the time. Hello everyone, this is Editing Me here. This is also why the mic quality will be drastically different. Especially because, you know, in-game me was kind of like yapping for a bit. But again, I am going to discuss a little bit why I personally believe this to be Game of the Year and, you know, my personal thoughts on the game. And a couple of things, as you know, we tone things down. First and foremost, in the pinned comment, because I know a lot of people don't read the description or anything like that, but in the pinned comment, I will leave two links. One link to my, it's a platinum worthy review, which is non-story mode for the most part. That's going to be your more comprehensive, not talking about like bosses specifically, but other aspects like story, gameplay, secrets, that sort of deal. Meanwhile, I am going to leave I'm going to put a playlist together for y'all of my New Game Plus hard mode all outfits. Do keep in mind, even if you are not in New Game Plus, it will be helpful because the outfits are in the exact same locations in regular New Game. The things that I will not be showing is the new how to get the new near DLC stuff because of those videos were made beforehand. And also, something else to note, I do not show all the locations of the cans. That in itself would be a really, really long video. And you can just look that up for yourselves. If you are trying to get that can outfit, which is the Black Pearl, I would suggest having a little list. I would suggest having like a spreadsheet or something like that, and crossing off what can numbers you already have. So you can go through and, you know, look at, you know, what you're missing. Now, a couple of deals here. In my opinion, this definitely for sure deserves action game. Even though, okay, even though despite I do call it Stellar Blade a Souls-like, it's not necessarily a Souls-like. It's sort of its own unique thing. It's not close to Sekiro. It's not close enough to Sekiro to be like a Sekiro type, but it's not really as Souls-like necessarily either. Because keep in mind, it has it doesn't have a stamina management, right? It has no stamina. It does have health, you know. It does have like a shield thing. It's just it's different. It's different. Calling it a Souls-like is a bit of a stretch. I just sort of call it like that because it's not an easy game. No, but obviously depending on what mode you are on. Speaking of modes, realistically, if you're struggling in story mode, you're probably not going to be able to beat this game. You just aren't. Because the final two bosses, depending on if you get Providence, if you get Providence as your final boss, he's not that hard. But the one before Providence, and those of you that know, I'm not using the other final boss you can get due to the fact that it's sort of a spoiler, so I'm going to leave that alone for now. But Providence, you know, it's not difficult, but the one before Providence is. If you cannot, if you are struggling in story mode, you're going to get destroyed. I would heavily suggest playing at least in normal mode all the way through, so that if you find a particular boss to be super difficult, you can be like, oh, okay, let me turn down the difficulty. By the way, this is a single player game, right? Let's not judge people, you know, how they play or whatever. My advice, though, is go through normal mode, because story mode, you will struggle at times if you are already struggling. You know, but, you know, I've seen some things here and there about, like, especially towards single-player games, but like, oh, don't use this, and don't use that, and it's like, well, it's a single-player game, like, what the fuck you gonna do? Like, in the Bloodborne community, for example, Bloodborne community is honestly pretty nice, honestly, and a lot of questions are, at least, especially when Elden Ring came out, a lot of people were like, oh, don't use spirit summons, and da-da-da-da this, no NPC summons, da-da-da-da this, and I was of the opinion, it's like, if it's in the game, use it. I don't care. And a lot of people were also trying out Bloodborne, and were asking about something called the Cum Dungeon. I hope this video does not get age restricted because I said that. But there's a chalice dungeon in Bloodborne called the Cum Dungeon. It gives you a crap ton of blood echoes. And a lot of people were asking, hey, can I not use this? And Bloodborne can do this like, yeah, it's there. Use it. Like, it's a single player. It's like, it's a single player game. We don't really care how you use it. I do use it for blood vials and silver bullets. I use it for those two, so I don't have to farm those. But that's what it's extremely useful for. Is not having to farm that shit is great. Also, when I do stream Bloodborne in the future, I will be using the Gum Dungeon specifically for blood vials and the silver bullets. I won't be using it to level up at all, so that'll be that. Speaking of Bloodborne stream, really quickly, I will be streaming Bloodborne on its 10-year anniversary. I will be streaming it until I've beaten every single boss outside of Chalice Dungeons, so stay tuned for that. I will give more specific dates when I get there. I'm also going to try to get a capture card and it's like a monitor so that y'all do have a better mic, and I do want to put some overlays on, like, for death counter, so just so y'all can see that. And, you know, if y'all want to ask questions about, even if it's not Bloodborne related, if y'all want to just chat or whatever, definitely pull up to that stream. I am anticipating that it's going to take somewhere between 10 to 15 hours of my personal time. Again, I don't expect y'all to be there for the whole time or anything like that. That's absolutely absurd. But the stream will definitely be going on for a while. My fastest run I have done so far, without trying, was 10 hours. And I didn't beat every single boss. I skipped like 2 or 3, so I'm kind of curious to see how fast I can actually go if I'm actually trying to go pretty fast. Now, back to some Stellar Blade stuff. Now, in my opinion, it definitely deserves music as well. As y'all have heard, the Demo Crawler music is extremely good. Please go check out Purnell, the original singer. An interesting detail of that piece of music is that it's in English. Well, most of the time, ARPA music is usually in Italian or French. It's rarely ever in English because the way English words are pronounced, it is quite difficult to get it to go smoothly. So I find it very interesting that the vocals are actually in English. Now, and then, of course, the Unintended piece is absolutely phenomenal. A lot of the pieces of music in this game are just absolutely fantastic. And also, if y'all have any questions about how to obtain a particular outfit, as y'all are seeing in the background, just ask me in the comments below, and I will definitely answer. If you have any questions about Solar Blade as a whole, I can definitely answer. Of course, I do have the game platinumed, or whatever. I've been in the game a lot of times. A lot of times. You know, say, in my opinion, it deserves Game of the Year. In my personal opinion, this is my Game of the Year. Last year, Atomic Heart, because yeah, Atomic Heart came out in February last year. Atomic Heart was my personal Game of the Year, at least the base game. I did not like either DLC for completely different reasons. I'm not really going to get into that right now, but you do kind of have to, the general gaming community has to kind of understand that Game Awards is not indicative of what games are good or not. It's just not. Do not look for Game Awards to see what games are good and what games are not. Doom Eternal barely won any awards in 2020. Last of Us Part 2 basically won everything. Like, whatever category it's in, it basically won, and that's generally considered to be a kind of a meh sort of game. And in my opinion, Doom Eternal was absolutely fantastic. So was Hades, honestly. Hades was really good. 2020 was a really good year for gaming as well. As was this year, too. If I do have the Game Awards off, I will be streaming that here. So if y'all want to do like a little watch party, you know, y'all can pull up your stream while I watch some Game Awards. If some other people are available, I might, you know, get them on board to be in the Discord call as we watch it. If I do decide to watch it, it will only be for... It'll only be for trailers and such. I'm not really going to be caring about what games win what, as it's not indicative. I'm also not a huge fan of a DLC being up for Game of the Year. In my opinion, this is going to get a lot of flack, but in my opinion, Shadow of the Erdtree is the worst Soulsborne DLC that we've ever gotten. Hands down. A DLC is supposed to complement the base game. My reasoning for this... Okay, I'm going to ask... Before y'all flame me, I'm going to ask you all a few questions. Those of you that have played Dark Souls 1, can you imagine going through that game without going through the DLC? No. By the way, this is not counting Dark Souls 2. I've never played Dark Souls 2. And Dark Souls 3. Can you imagine playing Dark Souls 3 without either of those two DLCs? No. Can you play through Bloodborne without playing through the Old Hunters? No. Old Hunters is considered to be essential. Now let me ask the same question for Elden Ring. Can you play through Elden Ring without feeling the need to play the DLC? My personal answer is absolutely yes. I will skip the DLC every single time. I'll just skip it. Story does not make sense. It almost has nothing to do... Well, not meaning no sense, but a lot of the bosses have nothing to do with each other. At least from a visual... The bosses seems to be like... It seems to be like... It should have been its own game rather than a DLC, if that makes sense. This general story is not told anywhere clearly as much as Elden Ring's was, which I criticize Elden Ring for its story. But I personally do not feel like Shadow of the Erdtree really deserves to be in the conversation for Game of the Year. I would rather there be a separate category for DLC, so that you can lump Vinyl Shape in there. You can lump Shadow of the Erdtree in there, and the Remnant 2 DLC, which I thought was also pretty bad. In my opinion, the DLCs for Remnant 2 declined in quality as time went on. I wasn't a huge fan of the Rude one. The Asian one was okay, but I didn't really like the level design of it. But the One True King was absolutely phenomenal. But yeah, that's gonna kind of do it. Just again, to clarify, no more Destiny 2 builds until Act 3. Code Vein will be getting picked up again. I accidentally skipped a portion of it, but it's not a super major portion of it because no audio got recorded. And however, you will be getting in subclass, you know, look at and everything with, you know, people that do main characters or whatever, you know. Y'all will see that when it comes out. On that note, though, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate y'all watching, and I will catch y'all
on the flip side.